McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. Tender, juicy, and its own sauce. Would you look at that? Well, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks delicious. New McCrispy strips, now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. Find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, ah, I'll have what she's having.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Paige, I'm just going to say you made us watch Color of
The
Night.
Color of Night.
Paige, this has to have been the first time you saw this movie, for sure.
This was the first time I saw this movie. I had heard about it before, in part because How Did This Get Made? Did it? And it comes up on every list of erotic thrillers.
This movie came out in 1994.
Yep.
A full 11 years after the original movie that it ripped off, Sleepaway Camp. How dare they?
I mean, you're cutting deep early.
I know.
Let's
I
go.
don't know how else to start this other than there.
Look, here's what I'm going to say. This movie could be 2 hours and 20 minutes shorter.
This movie is only $2.19. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, it shouldn't exist. And yes, you're right.
It shouldn't exist. Here's the thing. You could cut a full hour out of this movie, leaving it at only 79 minutes, and there'd still be huge portions of them just like killing time. And you would cover the entire story. This movie there's just so much that I have to scream. First of all, every time Bruce Willis narrates what's happening to him in real time, it's the cringiest thing I've ever seen.
Paige,
why are we doing that?
Not only is it cringy, and it's every time he's talking to Rose.
Yes.
And she is either entering or leaving a scene.
He's saying it to her. She can hear it.
Yes. He narrates aloud. He narrates aloud. I corrected myself because Natalie always makes fun of me for how I say narrator because it's wrong, but it's how I say it. But he narrates her entrance and her exit every time she enters and leaves a scene.
Yes.
And it's I think the clearest definition of what it looks like to have narcissistic personality disorder. Because
real main character energy.
Yeah, you're fully the main character. If you're narrating your life, babe, that's how I say it. I'm sorry. If you're doing that, you're definitely a narcissist, right? If you think you're like a 1920s detective, you're no.
It's a wild thing to do out loud regular. Like, as a person who has an internal monologue, that happens inside my head sometimes. But
oh, I do that shit all the time. Who do you think tells me the jokes I say?
Sure. But out loud? No.
No. I mean, I would never do a podcast being like, Paige said menacingly. It would be like that. I would just be narrating what you're doing. It's so dumb. I know I said it again. I'm sorry. It's going to happen a lot because Bruce Willis just narrates this whole damn movie.
He narrates the whole movie.
Sometimes in voiceover and sometimes just aloud in the scene, which is a nuts distinction.
Todd looked confused as he wondered how many R's are in the word narrator.
It's one too many when I say it, for sure. But it's such a habit, guys. I know I'm doing it. I know I'm doing it wrong. and I cannot stop myself. It's a problem. I'm sort of like Brad Dourif in this movie.
Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky.
Yes.
Boy, I wish it was just Chucky in this movie. Just like they go around the room introducing themselves and then they're like, hi, so I'm a doll that might have an evil spirit in it. That'd be great.
Honestly, Paige, I would take the version of this movie that is just like the support group from Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, I have actually never seen Wreck-It Ralph, but I am aware of this. Yes.
Okay, yeah, like that support group where it's all like the, in that movie it's video game characters, but in the way you set it up, it's like all horror movie characters. Would watch that movie.
I mean,
they're all dating one of the final girls who's like getting their final revenge. You know what I'm saying?
Sydney.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why I immediately thought it was Sydney. I feel like Ripley's too busy for that shit.
She's hanging out with the cat.
Nancy, head in the clouds, dreaming the whole time. Okay, but so we have the crazy narration.
Yes.
The crimes in this movie. This movie seems to be like it's trying to set up a whodunit mystery, and then in the middle of it, it was like, but what if we had a 365 amount of sex scenes? For no real reason. We don't need that many. But then also, this movie has such a unique, weird thing about it. I'm sure you noticed it. Knowing you, because we've been on this podcast a long time. Whoever did the score, I don't think watched the movie. Because...
Whoever did the score only had a Casio keyboard.
Well,
the same Casio keyboard I had in 1994, mind you. Like, it's not like it's one of the expensive, nice ones.
A Casio keyboard and a cassette of the Children of the Corn soundtrack. Because at one point, he's like walking through the office, and I have it in my notes. I will call it out when we get there. But it's the...
I know. Paige, like Gregorian chants.
Yes,
yeah.
And nothing scary is happening at all. No one's getting murdered. Nothing is happening. And then later, where they're like, "We're pretty sure the murderer's in this room." It's like, do 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 do, and you're like, who is doing this? Why are they doing this?
I can tell you who's doing it. It's the composer that was hired by the creative team that saw the movie Clue and said, I could do this bad.
Oh my God. I kept thinking about Clue because Miss Scarlet is in this movie.
I know, Miss Scarlet is in this movie, and she's great in this movie too.
And I was sitting there and I was like, could we do Clue on this show?
There's an argument to be made. It is a slasher.
It's a well, that'd be Horror Virgin. This is Romancing the Pod. Oddly enough.
I honestly have lost track in this like time where we're doing these erotic thrillers because there's a lot of murder in these.
But how much fun have they been? I have been enjoying Erotic Thriller Month so much.
I'm sad it's only a month, Paige, because there's undoubtedly so many more.
There are more, and I found a way to keep it going into next month.
Yes.
We'll talk about it at the end because I have two movies coming up. One that was requested by a guest that they desperately wanted to do, and I'm trying to find a way to schedule that to make that happen.
Okay.
And another one that fits next month's theme and this month's theme.
What?
You're welcome.
Themeception?
Technically, we've already done one that fits next month's theme and this month's theme, but I found another one, and I'm curious, so let's go. Going to be a good summer, y'all.
I cannot wait. It's going to be crazy. Paige, I have a few quick questions before we get into the scene by scenes.
Happy to answer them for you.
And that is, has we ever seen a cop as lazy as the cop in this movie?
No. And I have so many questions about him and his work ethic and what crimes he be solving. But also, I love that his partner is just a snitch and that his snitching saves everyone's life.
Yeah. Oh, you mean communication helps?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying, Paige? I also love that the movie, of course, ends in a way where the 40-year-old doctor gets to keep his 19-year-old girlfriend. Of course, it's the 90s. That's how that was always going to end.
I mean, there were multiple times where people were like, she looks pretty young. And I was like, she looks like her mid-20s. Like, yes, it's young, but whatever. And then later, they're like, no, the brother would have been 16 by now. And you're like, oh, no.
I mean, she probably was older, but I mean, that's probably, God, I hope she was 18. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
God.
I'm assuming she's 18. 19, honestly, sounds legitimate, I guess. But when they said 16, I was like, oh! Like, just a visceral reaction reaction.
Gross. Yeah.
Can we talk about how bad her butt tattoo looks? As someone who has contemplated getting a tattoo kind of on my hip, like in that area, I was like, this looks bad. It looks like they got it out of a vending machine and had to reapply it with cotton balls every day. It looks bad.
Paige, someone I dated in my past had a tattoo.
In that spot?
Well, more centrally back located, right above the buttocks.
See, I want to go sides, like hips, like, ooh, like cheeky, but go ahead. Yeah, all right.
Oh, I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen that tattoo before, I guess. And I was like, oh, that's a red flag.
I am a red flag.
No, I'm not saying that you're not a red flag, Paige. Of course you're a red flag. I'm just saying that also the lady I dated that had that tattoo, right before we broke up, stopped sleeping at her place because I thought she might stab me. Like, it's that kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
this is the girl that shot your computer. Yeah.
Yeah, she put like 40 in my computer. And I don't mean like my brain. I mean like we were in the on again, off again cycle and in the off again phase of it. So she took my computer to a field and shot it a bunch.
Yes, but anytime I hear about people putting include amount in their computer, I just think of Bruce Willis in
this movie?
No, in Planet Terror, where he allegedly shot Bin Laden, and he was like, 1 in the heart, 2 in his computer.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, when I say computer, I don't mean my brain. You know, it's like my actual computer.
Your actual computer.
You know what the crazy thing is? Out of that whole computer, she shot it like 40 times. On the inside, nothing worked. She shot it to shit, Paige. I was so pissed.
For a hot second, I was like, what?
I know. The way I got you to lean in and then pulled that rug out like I was the meanest version of Aladdin. Come on.
This is just because I, in college, had bought my first MacBook Pro, the aluminum cased ones, and was running to class, and it had rained, and I slipped in flip-flops, and I dropped my entire computer into the mud to the point where I had to like pull it out.
That sucks.
And you know what? That computer worked for 6 more years. Like no issue.
What?
I will never buy a computer that is not a Mac again because of that. Like I was pulling grass out of that shit. Still worked.
If I'd have gotten the MacBook Pro, she would have shot at it and it would have like still got destroyed. It was a bullet, Paige. She shot a bunch of bullets at my computer. Oh my God.
I don't know, man. They had those steel casings on them where I would not be surprised if somebody in a movie was like wearing a bulletproof vest and then a bullet went through the bulletproof vest and they're like, oh, MacBooks, right? And it's just dented on the top. Like the screen's messed up, but the computer part still works.
It'll be fine, I guess.
I mean, for as bonkers as that tattoo was, which is how we got here.
That's right. Sorry.
That's not even the worst makeup in this movie. We gotta fucking talk about Richie's makeup. We gotta talk about it, Todd. We gotta talk about it.
How are we gonna? Okay, we gotta lay some ground rules because we gotta, just like we did with Sleepaway Camp. We gotta
right.
Yeah.
Within this movie, trigger warning, I guess. Within this movie, a character is forced to live in a way that presents as a gender that they do not identify as we will find out at the end of the movie. The understanding of the mental health issues that might surround something like that in this movie is bad because it's 1989 and they don't know what they talking about.
It's 1994.
Oh, worse.
It is worse, but it was still a bad time.
Still a bad time. But within that, the movie is absolutely trying to trick you, the audience, into thinking these two characters are different people.
Right.
And to do that, they utilized makeup skills that were, I will say, bad. Because what they did is, tinted a character's skin a full 2 to 3 shades darker. So it looks like they have kind of a weird tan that is inconsistent across their body, because people always forget if you're changing somebody's skin tone or if you're trying to blend things, you got to blend hands and stuff too. It's like, ask any drag queen, they know.
Oh yeah, like if you walked out on the main stage looking like this, you would be asked to sashay away.
Well, here's my problem, Todd, because they use concealer to try and underdraw her lips, because the actress playing this role has very full, voluptuous lips. That's why Bruce Willis is into it. But for the role in which she is playing the, I will say, identity of Ricky,
right,
they have concealed and underdrawn her lips, but they've underdrawn her lips in a more brown tone. So she has this kind of more tan skin and a brown tone that is not natural to any skin tone I've ever seen ever. It's almost like kind of gray. And it just makes her look like one of the people from Planet of the Apes. And by people, I mean apes in Planet of the Apes, because that's how they have contoured her facial structure.
I wish you weren't right.
And underdrawn the lips. And you know I'm right.
No, you are. Yeah.
And the actress naturally has kind of a very small pixie nose. It's very cute. But when you contour it that way, she looks like Dr. Zaius. Like, it's that wig... That wiggity ass wig,
Paige.
That wig screams Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Apes Together Strong against this makeup artist. Because what is happening?
I mean, yeah.
You know I'm not wrong.
No, you're right. You're right. She looks like she is the cross between Mrs. Niedermeyer and Dr. Zaius.
And Dr. Zaius.
Yeah.
Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius.
So, yeah, you're not wrong.
and like when the movie introduces Ricky, they do it in such a way where I think they thought that the makeup was good enough that no one would notice.
Do you really think they thought?
I don't think anybody thought
Yeah.
when making this movie.
I don't think they thought at all, Paige.
I don't think so. But they introduce Ricky as if you're not going to notice. And like the second you clap eyes on Ricky, you're like, "Duh, what?" And then here's, you know what? We'll talk about it when they introduce Ricky, because there's a gaping plot hole. A gaping plot hole when they introduce Ricky, and we will talk about it then. But it's fucking they introduce Ricky and you're like, why is one of the Planet of the Apes here? And why is it dressed like Edward Furlong from T2? Like, what is happening? What is happening? It's also the fake teeth, because they make Ricky's teeth look a little weird, and you're just like, Apes Together Strong.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah. This movie did make me realize that there are two types of famous actors, and that is actors who are successful because they know what a good movie reads like in a screenplay, and they can see it in their head and they're right. And that kind of actor is Tom Hanks. And then there's the kind of actor who is good at acting, but can't really tell from the script if it's going to be a good movie or not. And then just also happen to have good agents and management that got them in some really good projects. But they would do some passion projects that were real ass stinkers. Let me give you an example. Bruce Willis. Like, what is, how? And there are so many people in this because Bruce Willis is like, I'm doing this movie. It's going to be the next 90s noir thriller. And listen, this ain't 7.
No.
This isn't even 3.5. And I saw his dick. And like, listen.
Oh my God. We did see his dick.
Paige, it was cold, okay? It was cold in that pool, and it is what it is.
Oh, I had no complaints. 'Cause you could tell by the girth that thing's a monster out of the water.
Just like Godzilla, Paige.
I wish I could make a Godzilla sound to punctuate that, but I can't.
Paige, I will say this, though. The performances are so bad in this movie that his dick gives the best performance. It's the most believable. I'm like, yeah, that's a dick.
I know you didn't watch SNL this week because, well, you may have, but I assume you did not.
I did not. I literally have been working every day, all day, until I get up and go to sleep for like 2 weeks.
Yep. Because if you had, you would have maybe adopted the parlance of Miss Aggie, which is, I call that man Trey because he stay in the upright and locked position. And that is what we saw in this film.
Yeah. I do think if he like fell forward, he would like stop. You know, like the Michael Jackson lean?
Yes.
I'm just saying Bruce Willis didn't need a nail in the dance floor that his shoe clicked into to be able to hold himself in that position.
That diagram is so cool. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that. That's one of my favorite music video facts. Yeah, it is. Whew.
I also thought it was a wild choice when talking to a cop, when he's talking about the red car that's like trying to like kill him or whatever.
Yes.
He openly admits to the cop. He was like, bro, I was so mad I almost murdered somebody. He like admits to attempted murder with locomotive. And the cop in response was like, oh, I know, right? When the adrenaline hits, oh shit, there's nothing better than a little attempty murmur.
My favorite part of that is they are at that cop's birthday.
Oh, you mean and they use a police helicopter to do a drive-by mooning?
With strippers at a party where there are children. But no, my favorite part is, here's how I know there were children at that party, is that they have that conversation, then they kind of walk past the camera, like into the foreground past the camera. The camera stays on the party as two children beat the shit out of a cop piñata. And I was like, that's the most LA thing I've ever seen.
Literally, the children of the police guy who's here are beating the shit out of a cop yada.
It was so good. So good.
Oh my God.
That we're going to have here's the thing. Not much happens in this movie.
Nope.
In fact, my notes are as long as movies half this length. But there's so many things to scream about, and we'll go through it because I'm sure I didn't remember all of them.
I mean, honestly, Paige, we probably should just go through it scene by scene.
Yes.
Let's do it.
We open on boring credits, but only for
Paige,
like a minute.
How could you say that? I normally get mad at credits because they're boring as shit. These credits, honestly, Paige, they're doing too much. They're doing way too much.
It's only for the first minute is boring credits and just names. And then we open on a lipstick carousel as credits continue.
Yes, yeah. And this is where they start doing too much. Although I will say the saxophone player who couldn't wait till the downbeat of the song to start playing and does a full measure, run up a scale until he gets into I was like, okay. If that's this movie, I'm going to love it because everyone, including the saxophone players, doing too much.
Yes.
And man, have I never been more wrong this early in a movie.
Honestly, the energy of this opening, I wish we carried through the rest of the movie because you'd just be like, what the fuck is happening?
I thought we were going to get like a Home Alone, not Home Alone, but like the gangster movie, like noir movie in Home Alone that he's watching.
Right.
The, Angels with 1,000 Wings or whatever it's called. I can't remember.
I don't know.
I thought we were going to get something on that level of camp, but no.
No.
It's just like Bruce Willis thought he was serious. He's like, this is great.
Oh my God. Okay. So she opens a lipstick carousel that is bonkers and great. And then she's like, I can't find anything to wear. And she's like putting on lipstick. And then she looks in the mirror after throwing a bit of a fit and trashing part of the apartment. And then just starts putting lipstick around her face. The clear indication that someone is not well or is bad at overlining their lips.
Well, and she also she gets into her teeth too. It's real bad.
It reminds me of an old Maria Bamford bit where she does the baby look pretty now, mommy, as she mimes putting lipstick around her face. That's how I felt. However, then she reaches into her purse, pulls out a gun, and then fillets the gun?
Paige, the credits are doing too much. That's my point. There is a whole movie of narrative going on in this scene. And
so much.
Wow. Although, Paige, it kind of makes sense in hindsight after seeing this movie because it's all nuts.
It's all nuts. None of it makes sense. So, she fillets that gun, and then we cut to her at therapy being like, you don't understand me. And Bruce Willis is just like, maybe you're the bitch. Huh? You ever think of that one?
You ever think about that one, you stupid lady?
He speaks so harsh to her.
I know.
Admittedly, I feel like this woman maybe needs someone to be a little more direct with her, but what? And we don't know her stories. We have no idea if he's in the right, in the wrong. Nobody knows. But she's just like, I think I like the view better outside, and jumps out the fucking window.
I timed it.
Yes.
The fall takes 18 seconds, which
it takes so fucking long.
At terminal velocity would put the fall at around 3,190 feet.
From an airplane.
That's taller than the Empire State Building, the Eiffel Tower, and the Seattle Space Needle combined. At that height, she didn't fall out of a building. She descended from orbit. She would have re-entered the atmosphere. It's crazy. But she does land in a hard pile of melodrama, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then
I looked it up. I was so mad at how long it took. I rewound it and timed it. No building's 3,000 feet.
No
anyway.
building's that tall.
So dumb.
He looks out the window down at her, and suddenly the blood disappears because he has what? Lost the ability to see red and is now colorblind.
Paige, hysterical colorblindness? Paige, it's not hysterical, man.
I mean,
it's not really that funny.
Here's the thing. There are absolutely physical symptoms to psychosomatic problems.
For sure. That's why they call it that.
Yes. So I believe that something like this could happen. You hear stories about people experiencing traumatic events and weird stuff happens to them. I believe in that. I just think it's weird the way this movie presents it, where she jumps out the window and he's immediately making him about himself. Like, I'm colorblind.
I did think it was wild, but I mean, this guy is like a huge narcissist. Like, we see it the whole movie.
Yes.
He narrates his life, and I know I did it again, but it's going to happen. I apologize. Out loud for everyone, because he thinks everyone should hear his every thought, Paige.
Every thought.
That's the kind of narcissist this psychiatrist is.
Oh, my favorite is when, which also, by the way, because I had forgotten that he was a therapist from I hadn't listened to the How This Get Made episode in years. I forgot he was a therapist. It would have been wild to have Mikey on this episode, because Mikey would have struggled so hard with correcting this movie and being like, that's not how it should be. He's a bad therapist or whatever. But it's also Bruce Willis getting laid, and I feel like Mikey would have been in for that.
The main character, like, she's got full-ass coffins in her mouth. She's got huge teeth, and I do know he loved that.
Oh, she toofy.
He would have been into it for sure.
It's got too many teeth in her mouth. Yes.
You got too many tombstones in her mouth. She's like, I'll be your toothleberry. Like, it's too much. It's too many teeth.
It's a lot of teeth. But, so briefly, Bruce Willis talks to what I assume is his either like supervisor / mentor or his therapist, maybe one and the same.
Yeah.
And he has a line that he's like, yeah, I'm still a romantic, but women only want to fuck me or marry me, not to love me. And I was like, what a douche.
Yeah. So this is like classic narcissistic personality disorder. I do think it's funny because, like, I don't think the writer realizes that, but the writer's not a psychiatrist?
No.
Or whatever.
Clearly.
So funny.
Neither.
All over the place.
All over the place. But he's like, I'm going to go to LA. We find out that he's going to go to LA to meet his friend Scott Bakula, who, can we talk about Scott Bakula for a second?
Yeah.
Who is barely in this movie, and yet mysteries abound.
Paige, his whole purpose in this movie, which is largely a whodunit.
Yes.
Really. It's like a locked room whodunit. His whole purpose is to just set up the murder that is going to take place, and that it could be anyone in the group.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, it's me. I'm the one who gets murdered.
Yeah.
And the next time you see me is when I'll get murdered. Like,
yes.
He not only calls it, he more or less is like, well, Bruce, I bet you're wondering why I brought you here, and that's to solve my murder. Like, what is happening? Like,
yes.
Scott, if you think you're in this much danger, like, call Ziggy and get out of there. Like, what are you doing?
That's sliders. But
That's not sliders, Paige. That's Quantum Leap.
Sorry.
It's Quantum Leap, Paige. How dare you?
Either way, his whole calling the group, meeting everyone is so bonkers that halfway through the movie, you half expect a run back Lycan clue of just like, the cook was dead, falling out of the cupboard. You ran to this.
Yeah.
You want a breakdown in this movie because at a certain point we find out that we're living in the world of that R. Kelly and Usher music video, Same Girl, and like everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the movie. So he goes to LA to meet with his friend from therapy school.
Which is Scott Bakula, by the way. They were like college roommates or college friends, at least.
Yeah.
And they've stayed close since then.
They served on the Enterprise together. You get it. So like he invites him to the Monday night therapy group. We have to fucking talk about this therapy group.
We do, because it's part of the movie. Yeah, that's like why people listen. Yeah.
You and I have been in and around the therapy industry, not just with Mikey, but with our own.
We're getting into it. Let's get into it. Let's do it.
Work and stuff. In what fucking world would you ever have a therapy group with people who have 6 different disparate issues that they're going through, and not like groups exist for people to find commonality in many different ways, where it's like, hey, we've all lost a parent, or we've all lost a child, or we've all struggled with domestic abuse. Like,
in many ways, it's very much like we have all suffered this trauma, or are addicted to this type of substance, or are seeking this type of escape. And here are the best practices that I can share with you about how to deal with that struggle, right? That's very much what this is not, though, because it's people who are like struggling with all different kinds of things for all different kinds of reasons.
They seem to have been put together at random, and like No, the whole point of a group is not just for like we all need the same steps, but for people to interact with people in different parts of the healing journey.
Right.
It's the same reason AA and NA do it that way too, of like, hey, we have commonality in our experiences and our trauma, but we may be in different places with it. We may have experienced different things, and I have a kinship with you because of what we've been through.
Yeah.
But we can also learn from each other. So the fact that they have, because they'll go in a circle, starting with Miss Scarlet, because she is described as being both a nymphomaniac and kleptomaniac. She seems like she's just a good time.
Interesting. That's an interesting.
Except for that time she stabbed somebody.
Right.
But other than that,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, other than that, seems great. Yeah. Other than the might stab you at any moment, and maybe like if you're in the final stages of dating this person, maybe you shouldn't spend the night.
Yeah.
And maybe, that happens or whatever. Callback, nailed it. But
don't leave your computer there.
Exactly, Paige. Exactly. But like, listen, she's not bad 100% of the time, so.
She's just drawn that way.
Oh, hate it.
But then we have Casey, played by the guy who played Benny in The Mummy.
Yes.
You know who it is.
Yes.
Also from Deep Rising, which was it Deep Rising, Deep Impact? Deep Rising, the one with the boat and the water ski, the jet ski and the boat. That's Horror Virgin.
Can't remember, but yeah.
It was on TV the other day.
I'm sure that movie happened.
It did happen. You loved it.
I'm sure I did.
Anyway, in this scene, we're not sure what's wrong with him, although Bruce Willis will exactly nail it later and be like, it's exactly this shit.
I'm so fucking good at my job. I'm going to narrate everything because I'm the best, and everybody wants to hear every fucking thing I have to think in my brain. He's the worst.
Yes, it's very much Adam Sandler with a microphone in Wedding Singer. Like,
Yes.
I have a microphone, so you will listen to everything I have to say.
It's exactly like that.
It's that. Then we have Clark, who is Chucky, but a lawyer, and also seems to have some obsessive compulsive tendencies around, but in a very stereotypical movie way, not in a real way. Not in a way that accurately displays what
Right.
someone struggling with obsessive
There you go.
compulsive tendencies might encounter. He just counts everything. Good for him. Some people just like counting. You ever been to Sesame Street? Deal with it.
That's a real Big Bird kind of take right there, Paige.
Look, hey,
I knew you were in bed with the bird.
hold on. I was thinking more of the Count, because you know how I love vampires.
Oof. Bounce on it, number style.
Crazy stuff. Bounce up. 1, 2,
2, 3.
3.
I'm sorry. The counting down the strokes to the vinegar stroke. Holy shit, that's funny. Oh my God.
That's the kind of shit you're going to get in this movie because it makes about the same amount of sense. Then Lance Henriksen is there as a dude who's like, my wife and daughter died. And people are like, how? And he's like, oh,
I can't talk about it yet.
I can't talk about it, which immediately makes literally everyone be like, that guy's a murderer. Like, instantly.
I understand why you as a character in the scene might think that, but me as someone who's seen a movie before was like, oh, we're going to get this story later in the movie.
Absolutely.
This is like Chekhov's did he kill his family? But they let that hang for a while, Paige, she said as she got up to turn her light on in her ever-darkening room as the sun set behind her.
I got too scared of Lance Henriksen. I was like, if he'll kill his daughter and his wife, what'll he do to me? Nothing. He didn't kill them. In fact, no one in the story killed them, allegedly.
But they're cops, so you can't trust it. Who knows?
Can't fucking trust him. Anyway, Scott Bakula is like, hey, I brought my friend. He's going to join the group. So, go around and meet everybody. And this is also after when we meet Richie, where again, I just have in my notes, the skin tone here is wild. It's not one that occurs in nature on anybody. And it does, in fact, look like Dr. Zaius.
Yeah.
And I just have like, no. But then when they introduce Richie, this is our weird plot hole. They introduce Richie by saying that Richie has a gender identity problem and social anxiety.
Yep.
Which for the rest of the movie, they do address Richie as he. They continue. And for me,
I was going to say that. I know they use some incorrect language for the day. I think the movie was actually trying to be sensitive to the issue a little bit for 94. And they do it badly. Yeah. They do it very badly.
But it's for 94.
Yeah.
But to the point where, because I did not remember the end of this movie, I had seen it, but I knew, I was like, obviously, this is Richie's gender presentation, right? So, like, this is them trying to present as male. And when they were like, hey, it's a gender identity disorder, I was like, oh, it's so nice of them to constantly gender them correctly. No.
I know.
That's not what the movie is doing.
I know.
The movie, and literally every character in the movie sees Richie as a man who wants to be a woman, not someone who was assigned female at birth, attempting to present along with their chosen gender identity as male. That's what I thought where I was like, this is a person who has transitioned. It's so nice of them that everyone is doing their best to like, and no, that's not it at all. That's not it. That's not what's happening in the movie.
Everyone's just terrible.
Everyone's terrible and very confused to the point where essentially, because at first through 2025 eyes, you're like, it's great that they're all affirming this. And then you realize, no.
That's not what's happening.
That's not what's happening. Because later in the movie, the character of Richie, in the identity of Richie, is like, I really want to be a woman. And they're like, good job, Richie. I'm glad he admitted that. And I was like, whoa, no, what? No.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most wrong. And also, how did nobody recognized... We'll get to it when we get there.
Paige, literally everyone in this room is fucking Richie as Rose or Bonnie, which is another alter ego, right?
Right.
And they don't look crazy different. I mean, Richie does look like the Dr. Zaius version of Rose, but if you look at not the snout, but like the eyes.
It looks like they gave them a snout.
I know. I don't know what else to call it.
I don't know.
It's like at any moment, Bruce Willis is going to walk out the front door and he's going to see a beach with the head of the Statue of Liberty on it. Like, that's how much she looks like Dr. Zaius' kid.
It's true. But it's because I think they thought they were fooling the audience. But the reality, like, I have had so many friends transition in my life. And, like, you know it's them. They're the same person. It's just they're now embodying the gender they always felt inside.
So there is an added element, though, because of the multiple personalities in the movie. And I realize that that's also like a nebulous thing that doesn't really exist. But in the magical realism of the world, let's just pretend it does, because it does in the movie. And that's the loophole that Bruce Willis and Rose get to use to make it so she doesn't have to go to jail, so Bruce Willis, a 40-year-old man, can have sex with a 19-year-old child the rest of his life. So, like, listen, it was the 90s, and that's the way the story's got to end because, well, you know why, and it's gross. But, yeah, that's what happened. But it's not just the gender identity thing. It's also the multiple personality thing. And the reason I say it's like Sleepaway Camp is because it's like a forced gender identity. They had to like take on as a child.
She is forced to present as Richie.
Right.
But given the choice, she is Rose. That's what she would always be.
Right.
So, yeah, complicated. But yeah, but this is the point in the movie where I was like, oh, they're just gonna, okay, so we know, and that the movie is just bad at makeup. And then it was like, no, the movie thought it was fooling you.
Right.
It was not.
But the movie's not fooling. I mean, unless the movie is like directed at Coco, it's not fooling anybody.
You mean Coco the gorilla?
Yeah, because that's like...
She's like one of my countrymen.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if Richie showed up and was like, I watched my uncle get murdered because he was trying to help a child out of his cage, and now I'll never see Uncle Harambe again, and like, he was a great guy, you know? Like, I'd be like, that makes sense. The makeup makes sense here.
Yeah, well, and I also feel like, and perhaps... this is just 2025 vision, right? Where like, I feel like there are makeup artists today that could have done this job within this movie. And you would just be like, oh, that's a boy that kind of looks like Rose.
Right.
Like maybe they're related. And that's what you would think. And instead, this movie went full Planet of the Apes with it. And to the point where like you meet Dale, the brother, and you're like, what? Like,
Paige, I thought it was really tasteless when Bruce Willis in these group therapy scenes, whenever Richie was talking and they were like being more interactive with Richie, they would say things like, let me be a little bit more curious, George, about this part of what you just said.
no.
I'm so sorry. I honestly feel a little bit bad. These are just like funny jokes to me, but like, listen, it's just the makeup. It's not any part of the movie or the fact that they're like being forced to pretend they're a different gender. Like, it's just the makeup.
Here's my thing. If they did not do the makeup, right? If they were like short haircut and a ball cap and then the same costumes, we would not be having this conversation. It would just be like, oh, they must be related. How does he not see that they're related? And that's clearly her brother or something like that, right? Right. But because they went so hard at like, we have to disguise it, it looks like she's wearing latex prosthetics like that. And it's not until literally the very end when they take the glasses off and let her ponytail down, like, which is absolutely what happens at the end of the movie.
It's just like, what movie is that shit? It's just like
She's All That.
It's just like She's All That. It's just like it, Paige. You're right.
When they take the ponytail down and take the glasses off, and the lighting changes that you can actually see what they were doing makeup wise.
It's a different shot, and they actually changed the makeup. Like,
it is a different shot, and they changed the makeup in between.
Yeah. So when it's revealed, you're like, oh, well, that looks way less like someone who's about to walk Simba up to the top of a mountain and like anoint them the new child king.
It's the teeth and the lips, and yes, and the contouring.
Yeah.
It's bafflingly bad. Anyway, we've met everybody. And then the group, it's kind of a weird group. Everyone's yelling, but they finish up the group. And we go back to Scott Bakula's house, where Scott Bakula and Bruce Willis are just like, weird, right? Yeah, I know, but life is great. I'm divorced. I got money. I got a little friend who the second he said, I got a little friend, you'll meet her, I was like, he's clearly banging. Like, I can see this a mile away. Like, it is obviously the girl that Bruce Willis is going to end up banging, which is what this movie is famous for. So
yeah, but you can definitely see it coming a mile away, just like you're in a pool with Bruce Willis.
Right. Oh, yeah. They should have played the Jaws theme. But we do see him like take notes and put his notes back on the shelf, which will be something to kind of pay attention to later. But this is where he's like, the reason I asked you to come to the group is I'm pretty sure one of these people is going to kill me. By the time the cock crows 3 times, one of you will betray me for 30 pieces of silver. Like, it's just, one of them's going to kill me. And I needed your, like, tuning fork to tell me who. And they take him through, like, what's going on with all these people? Like, what's your read? And he's like, Casey has money. He had an abusive father, and now that father pays for him to be an artist. And that has shaped the way he forms relationships with people. He doesn't say it that kindly, but that is what he's trying to say.
But yeah, but like Casey's quote diagnosis is like sadomasochism, right?
Right.
And possibly some like borderline traits, right? They're also like sort of manipulative and like kind of shitty to people, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's Casey's issue, caused by that trauma. You're right.
Right. Then we get to Richie, and he says, trapped rat, which basically implies like this is someone who is scared and is doing anything to survive.
Yeah.
But then he says, I don't know, I'm getting kind of a schizophrenia vibe. Maybe don't mess with it, which at the time is absolutely a diagnosis that somebody who did not take time to understand the context behind gender issues would have probably applied to somebody suffering from dysmorphia. However, I think what the movie is trying to do is be like, see, he understands that there's multiple personalities. And I'm like, those are 2 different things. This movie no, don't take any therapy notes from this movie. It's bad.
It is.
But we cut to the next day. And this is where they're like talking and they get up to do their bikes. But this is where we get the Children of the Corn music. They're just having like a relaxing conversation and a fun morning on bikes.
Yeah.
And we're getting the Children of the Corn.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, Scott Bakula's about to die. So like maybe it is time for child singing of Gregorian chants.
I don't know. But anyway, he goes into his office. Bruce Willis is doing something. We don't know. He's off screen. But Scott Bakula goes into his office where he appears to be killed by what? Multiple people. This is multiple killers.
They're all dressed in like a...
It's a ghost face attack.
Yeah, you can't see who it is, I guess is my point. But yeah, this is definitely multiple people because they come out of like all over the place.
Definitely multiple people. Yes, and then a helicopter shows up. We cut to Bruce Willis at the police station. And this is the first time we meet Hector the cop. And Hector's just like, hey, who did it? And Bruce Willis is like, first of all, these are not my patients. I don't know. I met these people once, and there's confidentiality between them for anything that I know from another therapist. But also, I don't know. Isn't that your job? Like,
and the cop is like, no,
nah.
I'm gonna make it your problem to solve your best friend from college's murder. So, like, figure it out for me. I'm going to be at this party the whole movie.
The whole movie. He practically deputizes Bruce Willis of like, you go investigate it.
He does everything except for give him a badge. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It is bonkers.
Summer's here, and Mint Mobile is bringing the skimpy to your wireless bill, which honestly would have been a lifesaver for that poor woman in 50 First Dates. You know the one. She wakes up every morning with no memory of the day before, and this guy out here is just building waffle log cabins and faking car accidents to try and make her fall in love with him every single day. Like, bro, that's not sweet. That's like a huge red flag umbrella on the beach. Instead, she wakes up married, kidnapped, and carrying, all while floating through international waters like she's married to a Bond villain. If she had Mint Mobile, Samwise could have sent her a quick, don't trust the dude in cargo shorts text, or at least she could have checked her group chat and realized she's in the middle of a rom-com horror story. Plans start at just $15 a month and come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and coverage on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone, keep your number, and save your wallet, and possibly your dignity. So avoid the emotional and financial manipulation and get your summer savings at mintmobile.com/romancingthepod. That's mintmobile.com/romancingthepod. Upfront payment for $45 for 3 months, 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quests to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
But Bruce Willis is driving the car because he goes home. They show up at his house. They search the house and ask him more questions. But again, don't let him in without a warrant, but whatever. They don't find anything at the house, but they drop off Scott Bakula's car. So that's what Bruce Willis ends up driving around.
Yeah.
So as he's driving, he gets rear-ended by a girl who doesn't have insurance, and he writes down his phone number and address and gives them to her so she can come drop off money. Why he doesn't get her information makes no sense in the scene. It only makes sense in that if he had her information, the like twist, air quotes, that the movie tries to do wouldn't work.
Paige, this movie falls apart in the era of smartphones. Like, if not even smartphones, like camera phones.
Right.
Be like, hey, I started dating this new lady. Look at her. Isn't she great? Wait, I'm dating that lady. Scene. Like, that's the whole movie.
We've been messing with the same girl.
Oh, man.
Yes.
It always comes back to an R. Kelly song somehow.
No.
And this one came back to 2 because in the opening scene, someone believes they can fly.
Oof. Anyway, he gives her his address and expects her to, like, if you hit a car and someone's like, we cool, just bring me the money when you get a chance. No, I don't need any of your information. Just take mine. I'm never going to see or talk to you again.
Paige, can I remind you that this is a world-renowned narcissist driving around in his friend's who just died car. He does not give a shit about that thing.
Nope.
And he wants to bang Rose.
Yeah, duh.
So, like, of course he's going to give her all the information he wants and, like, not ask her for anything in return because he doesn't give a shit about that car.
Yeah. Don't care. So he goes back to the house. He decides that he's going to hold the Monday meeting so that he can tell them that Scott Bakula died.
Okay, you say he decides, but he gets voluntold by the cop to do that. The cop is very much like, hey, about that group, could you I don't know, inform them that their therapist is dead because I know it's my job, but I don't like doing it. So if you don't mind, that'd be great.
Awesome. So he holds the Monday meeting. And this is where in my notes I just have Richie looks like a Planet of the Apes. This was the first place I put it down on the notes.
Yeah.
But everyone shows up and they're like, well, why don't you continue? And he's like, I don't think I can because here's what happened. I was really harsh on a client. They jumped out a window into space, re-entered the atmosphere, and then died. And now I can't see the color red.
Paige, what happened was she jumped out the window, took that pistol she was filleting, shot Massimo's dad from space, and then fell down to her own death.
Yep.
I can't believe that this movie answers a question in the 365 universe, but we found it, guys.
We found it.
We found the answer.
But so he's like, yeah, so I can't. I'm really just not in a good place. I can't help you.
Did I not tell you I can't see red?
That's essential to being a therapist. But they're like, it sounds like you're the perfect person to help us. Trauma bond.
I know, right?
Yay.
I know. Who better to lead a group full of red flags than someone who can't see them?
Right? He's like, it's all gray flags to me. Anyway, Clark also offers him some legal help for Scott Bakula's affairs. But we cut to the whiskey on Sunset Boulevard where he meets with the cop. And at this point, I was like, why is this cop so, why is he just report back? You're my confidential informant now. It's just bonkers.
Yeah, he is running him like he's an undercover, operator, more or less.
Yeah, but this is also where we find out that they bugged the office. So
yes,
they are absolutely violating HIPAA.
Well, yeah.
Or at least patient-clinician confidentiality, for sure.
Yeah, at least that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt they have a warrant.
Yeah, and HIPAA didn't start till 2 years later. That's why I was like, I think it's confidentiality at least, but not HIPAA, so.
That's right. HIPAA came out in
96.
96. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he does say, Hector's like, look, I'm actually concerned for you because, they killed the last guy. So, what's going on? And then he's like, are you really colorblind? He's like, yes. Clearly you bugged the office.
Weird, right?
Weird. He gets back to Scott Bakula's house where someone has flooded a huge corridor of the house with a shower and a hose.
I love this because there's water that's not ankle deep, but it's
enough to slosh through.
Yes, yeah. He falls on his back.
Yeah.
And it splashes like it's a small puddle outside. It's a lot of water. And instead of opening the door and turning the hose off that he can see from where he's laying on his back, he goes and grabs a knife and then taps it on the counter like he's gonna scare away a ghost, or he's Bill Murray at the piano they hate this. And then he's like, oh, I guess I'll just turn off the hose and stop the water then. What are you doing?
Yeah.
They clearly couldn't get inside, so they're fucking with you by putting water under the doorway.
Yeah, well, and then he clearly didn't call anybody because the next morning he's out drying the towels and stuff he used to mop up the water. And who should show up but the girl from the fender bender? And she's like, have you gotten an estimate? And he's like, no, I'm dealing with a fucking murder. And she's like, oh, all right. So are you taking me out to dinner? And he's like, yeah. This date, Todd.
I'm sorry. I forgot that's how that went, but you're right.
This date.
It's perfect, right? It's perfect.
No.
Oh,
never
sorry.
have I
You don't
seen
like
a date where so many words are said and so little meaning occurs. He has this crazy monologue and she has a weird monologue and together they say nothing.
Paige.
Full nothing.
In a movie whose title means nothing at all and is not at all related to anything that happens in the movie.
I think red is the color of night and that's what they're trying to get at with the title.
I have a one-word response to that, and that word is no. But Paige, in a movie where that's the title, that makes no sense. Of course, none of the characters make sense.
Right.
The movie is written like it's a 1940s noir detective story, but written by ChatGPT. And there's no causality to anything. It's just things transpire in a scene and that's it.
Even the reasons they give people for doing things don't make a ton of sense. And this scene in particular where she has a tuning fork, he has a tuning fork, we will find out that this is Rose, so like that's how she knows all these things. But it's just weird. But I feel like they're trying to make it like, oh, they get each other. They like really understand each other. And then they end up like making out before she gets in a taxi to go home, implying that he is like bricked up.
Oh.
And she's leaving him.
She literally says that.
In the upright and locked position.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
He does that Michael Jackson lean with no nail.
Yeah. Meanwhile, and this is also where we see him narrating things like a book, and we hate it. Meanwhile, we cut to him talking to Richie's brother, aka his caretaker, where like Richie was born in the back of a van. I've been his guardian since he was 9 or 10. He should be out of therapy. And Bruce Willis, to his credit, is like, I'm going to check into that. Because like Richie seems like
they very much need therapy.
Yeah. We're not entirely sure for what. But it feels like they should be here, right? Yeah. This is,
For sure.
But this is also where we find out that the brother made Scott Bakula's desk and made his bed. And the bed has like wild, like we will see later, some BDSM hooks and clips on it, which for me implies that they also probably made some stuff for Casey.
I assume so as well. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the like belt that they used to choke and kill Casey and then try to do it to Bruce Willis, it's all made by that brother.
Yeah. We do cut to Casey, who has painted a bunch of dominatrix paintings and seems to be engaging in a consensual BDSM relationship. We do not see the dom in the scene, though. We will reveal later it is Bonnie, a.k.a. Rose's alter dom ego.
Yeah. Bonnie Rose has a whip, like in this scene, for sure.
Yeah.
And she's whipping Casey.
Yeah.
But like in a consensual, fun way, I guess.
I mean, yeah, hey.
Yeah.
We cut back to Scott Bakula's house where Bruce Willis goes to get the mail, and he almost gets the same fate as Cult Podcast's former attorney.
Right? Snake in the mailbox. I thought that too. I was like, oh shit, Paige, this might hit too close to home. I don't know.
Snake in a mailbox. Two things.
Yeah.
Paul survived his, but then it did cause health issues for the rest of his life that he then passed away from a couple of years ago. But for him, it was a cult that put the snake in the mailbox. And then former members of that cult gifted him a taxidermied snake skeleton in the shape of the cult logo.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's honestly we saw it in his house. I have no idea where it is now. I assume his family still has it. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But yeah, he dodges the snake, and it's implied that he kills it with a shovel and then calls the cops.
Yeah.
Anyway, the cop then reveals everyone has an alibi except Casey. I assume Casey does have an alibi. Casey just doesn't want to admit to his BDSM relationship.
I think we see that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why they show us the scene where he's getting whipped by the unseen person. Yeah.
Right. And at this point, he's like, well, where were you on that? He was like, I was here. Like, what are we doing? Have you seen every episode of Columbo? What's going on? And who should show up but Rose? And the cop is like, very young girl to go around fending benders. And I was like, She does seem young. How young? We'll get to it later.
Honestly, she probably got her license just a few years ago.
Oh.
I mean, even if she's 19, that's a few years.
Driving, wearing a dress of indeterminate color, as Bruce Willis says.
Well, because it's red and, famously.
And thus ensues the pool sex to counter sex to bed sex to break to more sex to this goes on a long time to a hang gliding cut.
Oh, Paige.
I screamed when it cut to the hang gliders.
I thought that was so funny.
I was like, if they're naked hang gliding, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
But Paige, it's so crazy. I did think for a second we were going to get a punch in of them just on a soundstage, but like with a fan blowing on them.
Yeah.
Completely naked. Bruce Willis's dong just like a sundial in reverse.
Bro.
While they're like hang gliding, and then she flips upside down and he like copulates with her like an eagle falling from the sky. Yes, Paige.
Bro, have you seen The Legend of Foggy Mountain? I know the answer's no, but I'm asking anyway.
No, I haven't. No, I have not.
Okay. It is on Peacock if anyone wants to, but there is a scene in which they go like flying squirrel suit base jumping and one of their dick falls out and we just get a close up of the dick in the wind like like a windsock, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And the second you mentioned them hang gliding naked, I was like, that's all I could picture. But let me lay this out for you.
Yes.
They jump into the pool, rip their clothes off in the pool. We see Bruce Willis's head and part of the neck of the dick, like enough to be like, whoa, okay. Then they move inside. Then they move to the bed, which is how we found out that the bed has like sex rings on it. Then we cut to a completely unrelated shot of people hang gliding in the sky. And you're like, is that? And then it pulls back to reveal that's just out the window as they're having sex in front of the window.
Yeah.
And then the sex scene comes back again. And then they pause for like 5 seconds where she like naked makes him dinner. And then they have sex again. And I'm like, this is as long as 365.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
This honestly is just like a montage of them fucking all day. Like that's all this is. Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
But we cut to, he goes in to look at the files the next day to pull Richie's file. And we find out that Richie was in the foster system, kind of fell through the cracks and was put under the care of a child psychiatrist in Pasadena.
Dr. Niedermeyer.
Dr. Niedermeyer. And then they kind of lost track of him after the doctor passed.
Yeah.
Now, we then cut to Sandra's house, where Sandra has been on a shoplifting day with her girlfriend, Bonnie.
Yes.
Spoiler, Bonnie is Rose. Clearly, that's what's going on. And we're like, what? And Bruce Willis is like, gives them a call and is like, I'm coming to the house. Bonnie leaves immediately, just like runs out of the house. Runs past Bruce Willis as he walks in.
Literally walks right past him, looking exactly like Rose, but if Rose, instead of having brown, reddish hair, had just red hair.
Right. And it's a little longer. That's it.
Yes. Paige, this is a wild movie.
Yes.
And I think many times it points out that its main character doesn't see anyone else in the world as like valuable and worth paying attention to, much like a narcissist would see the world.
Yes.
And he's our main character. So it's wild that he doesn't recognize the woman he just bawled down the day before for the whole day.
The whole day.
She would still smell like him.
I know. Like, even with a shower. Have you ever, because I know you've worn wigs, you've done drag a little bit.
Sure.
Have you ever been wigged up and had people not recognize you?
No, Paige, I am not fishy at all.
Okay. One time in high school, we had like Spirit Week, right?
Yeah.
And our theme for one of the days was secret agents.
Okay.
So I went and got a very short wig that was supposed to be a Sharon Osbourne wig. And I restyled it to just look kind of like a short pixie cut kind of a thing. And I somehow managed to get all my hair up under it. And then I just wore a black suit and sunglasses, and people did not know who the fuck I was.
What?
Like, to the point where I was like sitting in class and they were taking roll and they're like, where's Paige? And I was like, I'm right. And teachers were like, what the fuck? Like, what? And that's when I learned that if I change my hair, it changes the whole look of my fucking face. So much so that people do not notice or recognize.
I'm glad that you don't like suffer with the self-confidence issues that I do, because if that had happened to me, my immediate takeaway would have been like, oh, me as regular me makes no impact on these people at all. So much so that like, if I look a little bit different, they fully think I'm a new student from a different school. And Paige, you know what's dark? I might write it out and see if I can get a better role on this. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so like, that's not how I took it or interpreted it at all.
No, I know. That's why I said I'm glad you don't suffer with the self-confidence issues that I do.
Because I did not feel like I don't make an impact as me. I felt like I make such an impact as me that that's what they're expecting. And when they don't see it, they don't know what to do. And my first inclination was, hell yeah, I could disappear. Like I'm a chameleon. I could blend it. And then I was like, should I become an assassin? Because when you're like 15, you don't think good thoughts. You're just like, what could I do? How could I leverage this? I own this wig now. And it got itchy by the end of the day.
Will I use this wig for good or for awesome?
Or for evil? Anyway.
I do like that you just admitted you're definitely the Bruce Willis of the podcast, though. Like, definitely. Yeah.
Probably. In that I'm secretly bald.
I'm not going to ask a follow-up question.
I have a massive dick.
Well, thankfully, I didn't have to ask it, guys.
You're welcome. Anyway, he goes to Pasadena. And the lady in Pasadena, Dr. Niedermeyer's wife, is just like, I ain't talking to you. I ain't talking to you. But like, Dale's dangerous. We're not doing this, right?
Right. But it's very much coded in like, there's more to the story, but I can't reveal it until Act 3. Like, it's that vibe.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You've seen that in every movie like this ever.
Ever. And this is also where Sandra reveals, she's like, I saw Clark yelling at Bob one time and he's unhinged, and it's like this whole thing.
He comes off as like a soft, innocent person, but he's actually Chucky.
He's got the amulet. But we cut to the meeting where Clark is counting that there's 58 books, not 59. J'accuse. But this is where Bruce Willis is like, regardless of the fact that all of you have different issues that you're struggling with, we're all going to talk about sex and romantic relationships. And this is where everyone admits that they have recently met a new woman in their lives that they love and all describe as like the perfect partner.
And I would say that had any of them been police, that they would have been like, oh, wait, we're all describing the same sexual suspect. But I sadly found out that one of them is a former police, and that the cops in this movie are so lazy, they're making a guy who traveled here from New York to hang out with his friend solve that friend's murder. So, like,
we've been messing with the same girl.
It always comes back to R. Kelly.
And Usher. Anyway, they all go through, and the only one that doesn't admit to having a new woman in their life is Richie.
That's because Richie is the new woman in her life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But Richie says, everyone thinks I'm gay. I'm not gay. I don't want to be. I want to be a woman. And Bruce Willis says, have you seen a doctor? One would assume to begin a transition.
Well, that's what they sort of say. And then Brock, who was like used to be a cop until his wife maybe got murdered by him.
Or Buck. Buck is his name, I think.
It is Buck. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, does that mean like the knife or whatever? And Bruce Willis is like, yes, but like, calm down. Calm down.
Yeah. Which also it doesn't. People have different avenues. It's a whole thing. Anyway.
I know. But it's 94. The fact that they're not like just openly calling this person terrible things is a win.
Yeah.
Which I realize is also terrible in and of itself. So.
Yes. Clark freaks the fuck out and doesn't tell anybody anything. But we cut to his house the next day because Bruce Willis has showed up and it was like, you were fired and I bet you're fucking Sandra. And he's like, how'd you know? But Sandra's so messy. I met this girl. She's so clean. It's the best.
Yo, she's so fresh and so clean is what he says.
Yeah.
She makes me look like I don't have OCD, or he says something like that.
Yes, which is wild.
Yeah, because a major clue is broken because this person counts everything in every room he's in always.
Right.
And that comes back at the end to help.
To help.
Love it. No notes.
But we cut to Bruce Willis leaving where he gets tailed by the red car.
I love this.
And he gets a phone call on the car phone. And it's a bonkers murder voice. And I have to assume, because the movie does not wrap this up for us, that this is Dale?
No, it might be Dale. I think it's Richie.
I don't think it's Richie because we find out at the end that Richie didn't kill anybody.
Oh, then it's definitely, you're right. It's definitely Dale then.
It's Dale, yeah.
I was just thinking it was Richie because that means then Dale also switches back between like feminine presenting voice and masculine presenting voice because to keep it ambiguous as to who the killer is, the voice on the phone is like doing this crazy sing-songy almost delivery of the lines, which does keep it very
long legs.
Yeah, it does keep it very ambiguous as to the gender of the person who's talking. So like from a like whodunit standpoint, it's really well executed, but that's why I thought it might have been Richie, but you're right.
Yeah.
Richie didn't kill anybody, and that's why Bruce Willis gets to end up with Rose at the end of the movie.
Yes.
Gross.
Yeah, but there's a huge car chase, accidents. They end up smashed together on the train tracks, and Bruce Willis is like blocking the car from moving forward, but ultimately pulls forward so both of the cars can split. and they don't get hit by a train.
Yeah.
But this is where he shows up at Hector's party, and he's like,
this is the moment where he was like, Hector, I almost killed somebody. Isn't that crazy? And he's like, it is crazy. Isn't it awesome?
Up top.
Almost killing someone rocks.
Yeah, he's like, love that. High fives.
Yeah. You know, the way that cops react when a white 40-year-old man admits to attempted murder.
Yeah, it's bonkers. But then this is where they walk away and the kids are just like going ham on a piñata of a cop. But this is also where he's like, Sandra stabbed her ex-husband with a knife and fork. Clark's wife said he was abusive. Richie has drug problems. Casey set the house on fire. Everybody's got a thing. And the only person he leaves out is Buck. And he's like, oh, there's nothing on Buck.
Which we come to find out why he's being protected later.
Yes. Before we move on, there's something that we have to address in the scene, and it's the mariachi paradox. Because
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
did you have notes on this as well?
I didn't, but I'm assuming it still holds. Although I didn't see it, I don't know. But I'm assuming it does.
Not quite,
Damn.
but I will say this was the biggest mariachi instrument I've ever seen, and it was an average-sized mariachi player playing it, and it is a full stand-up wooden harp.
Oh, wait. Is there a whole mariachi band, or is it
Yes.
just as one person?
No, a whole band.
I'm not sure a harp is a traditional mariachi instrument. I might be wrong about that.
It's not. It's not.
So, like, I still feel like the mariachi paradox holds. Just because weird wannabe psychiatrist, writer, director of this movie wanted to throw a harp in, I'm going to feel terrible if, like, a harp is a traditional mariachi instrument. Like, I don't think it is, but I don't know.
It's the only time I've ever seen one in this context.
Same.
Anyway, they've got the stripper on the helicopter. The kids are there. The mariachi paradox happens, but we have nothing on Buck. So he goes to Buck's house, where Buck seems to have a red car that matches the one that he was chased by. But again, he can't tell what color the car is because he can't see red.
Oh my God. It's so silly. But yeah, but Paige, he's also, Buck is he in this, is holding a gun. And when they like go inside Buck's house and Bruce is like talking to him, because we haven't really said this, but like Bruce's best friend got murdered.
Right.
So he just like took over his practice. So
Yeah.
it was like a hostile takeover, but he wasn't the one that did the hostile bit.
Right.
But he is the one that did the takeover bit.
Yep.
So he's like here to perform therapy on this guy.
He's doing house calls.
Yeah. I mean, he might be like one of those that does that because he's paid at such a level. Who knows? But like, he isn't at all concerned that the guy who has a car that looks just like the car that was chasing him has a gun in his hand when he meets him.
Yeah, completely unconcerned, unbothered.
Wild. And then he's like, I don't like guns when they go inside and sit down. And Brock like throws kind of a mini hissy fit when he shoves it down in his couch. And that made me laugh a lot.
It's wild, but then he basically talks to Buck, and we find out the story of how Buck's wife and child died. It was a stormy night. They stopped in a bad neighborhood. He got out to help somebody. They shot his wife and him, where like he also got shot in the process. They think it was payback for something. It's a long story.
Yeah.
We cut to Bruce Willis calling Hector's partner and is like, we got to talk. And he's like, okay, but I get off at 6. Bruce Willis comes home, and who's cooking naked? Rose. And the fact that he's like, how'd you get in here? And she's like, oh, I stole a key. And he's like, what about the alarm? And she's like, did it not go off? At this point, we're like, she was fucking Scott Bakula. Like,
Paige, we know that she's fucking everyone at this point because we know what she looks like.
Right. Well, we haven't seen the picture in Scott Bakula's notes yet, but I assumed at this point that she was fucking Scott Bakula as well.
I assume that too because she has access to the house pretty freely, right? I assume she had a key from like before Bruce even got here. But we know that she is having sex with multiple people in the movie. So like I just assumed, you know?
Right. And we do get a bathtub scene with them where I have a question, Todd, and this may be a SEAL Team 6 level of stupid question. And I'm okay with that because I need to know the answer.
Okay.
Couldn't you electrocute yourself by running an RC car in the tub? I guess not. They have RC boats, huh?
They do have RC boats, but that was an RC tank that he was driving up her leg through the nethers up to the
tracts of land. Got it.
The mountain regions, let's just say. And then it does go into the water and fall into the water. And then she makes like a submarine joke. Well, I have to assume is also grabbing his massive dong. But, you know, I would assume they're okay because like they shot the scene.
They shot the scene, so they're not dead. Cool. Thanks for clearing that up for me. I was like, am I dumb for thinking this, that we should not put electric things in tubs?
I mean, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't.
But they do.
They did. Anyway, so he gets up at 6. He talks to Hector's partner. And this is where we find out that Buck used to be a cop. He and Hector were partners. Hector was sleeping with his wife. And then he found out. It became a huge thing at the police station. 2 days later, his wife died. They investigated both of them and half the station. And eventually they just came to the conclusion that like Buck and Hector had enough enemies on the streets that it was probably random. And it's just a tragedy for both of them.
Right.
And we will find out that essentially Buck is like, I didn't hold it against her anymore. And like, he was my partner. I cared about him too. And like, I never got a chance to forgive her. So I forgave him instead. And we are friends.
We don't get that line until the very end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we come to find out that they actually, through her death, sort of reconcile over the affair of it all, which I thought was interesting, but kind of sweet, really, the way.
Yeah, honestly.
And I really do think he does a really good job delivering that like monologue at the end when like Hector shows up at the end. Because he is an actually good actor.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, oh, damn, that like really hits home for me in a weird way in this like terrible, terrible, terrible movie.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
But we cut to Casey, who is working out, and it appears like the dominatrix is there and they're going to have a session before he leaves for therapy. Because who should show up? Bruce Willis. And he B&Es into Casey's house where it seems like there's a fire. Turns out someone has cut the face out of a lot of paintings and is burning them.
Paige, my favorite part of the scene is when he breaks into this house and sees something burning in the fire and like stuff also burning just outside the fire. Stuff that looks like maybe papers, you know, like when someone's burning the evidence. Anyway, so he runs over to the fire, tries to stamp it out, and then just grabs the shovel from the fireplace and puts that evidence into the fire because he's like, well, this is clearly evidence. I'm just going to burn it because the murderer would want this.
Right.
And then he looks over and sees, because he's stupid, he's like, oh, those paintings have the faces cut out of them. And I just shoveled a bunch of face paintings, not face paintings, but like paintings, like the faces that were the paint. You guys know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
He like shoveled those into the fire. So he's like, oh, me dumb, me pull out a fire again. And so he like pulls them out and tries. It's so dumb. Like there's so many things in this movie that you could just not do and it would be better and shorter.
And he's slipping in some sort of liquid that he can't figure out until he pulls the string and we see Casey's body. So we know he's been in a puddle of blood this entire time. And he sees those paintings, and at no point is he like, that's Rose. It's clearly Rose, but like...
It's definitely Rose.
Right?
It has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we cut to Sandra and Bonnie kind of canoodling in their house, watching the neighbors have sex across the way. And I have to bring this up because that neighbor snatches panties off this woman in a way that panties don't work.
Paige, there is so much magical realism in this movie, and this is the thing you like had to be like, well, actually, that's not how panties work. Like that's not how anything works.
I mean, if they had ties on the side, but then they like don't, they look like briefs, but he just like snatches them off her. It was wrecking my head for a bit.
It's called an illusion, Paige.
Illusion tricks are things that whores do for money. God. Anyway, this is where we also see the rose tattoo. As if we didn't know. Like, I think the movie thinks that we don't know. And I'm like, we got eyes, man.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like what? Is what I was saying the majority of this movie.
The hell? Yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah.
We cut to the next morning. She comes over to Bruce Willis's house. They banging. And he's like, they're going through photo albums of naked pictures of Scott Bakula's wife. And then she's just like, I didn't realize he took pictures. I don't want to see them anymore. And you're like, she definitely banged him. But he's like, I'm going to take a shower because I got to be up and go to the thing. And she's like, okay, I'm going to head out. She goes and takes one of the photos. He catches her. He chases her out.
Yeah, he starts to suspect her. Yeah.
Yeah. Memorizes the license plate. Then we go to the Monday night group and Clark is like, oh, the book is back. And he's like, Sandra, which one was it? And because it reveals that Sandra stole one of the notebooks and was reading it.
Yeah.
She's like, I didn't read it at all. But he goes through notes and this is where he finds a photo of Rose with an inscription on the back that's like, this person is a chameleon. They could be anyone. And he's like, has anyone seen this lady? And this is where everyone's been messing with the same girl because everybody. And this is where the score gets so crazy because it's like do 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 like upbeat weird flute music. It's unhinged. It's crazy. It's unwell. It's not okay.
The score in this movie is unsettling.
But then at some point they call the cops, which I think is a hilarious thing to call cops for. And I don't know if it was just because the cops were listening in or if they called the cops to be like, police, We were all banging the same girl.
I don't think you can call the police under that situation, R. Kelly or whatever.
Yeah, we got a code 69. Nice.
I do like that this whole thing sort of hinges on Richie's diary. Like, that was funny to me.
Well, it's Bob's diary.
I thought it was Richie's.
No, this is Scott Bakula's notes of what happened.
That's right.
Yes.
Richie's
yes.
in, not Richie, it's actually Rose. The picture of Rose is in there because Scott Bakula put it together, and that's why he had to die first. That's what it was.
That's why he had to die first. But this is where we get the thing where Buck is like, no, Hector and I are cool, but how did we all bang the same girl and we didn't know? And Richie is in this scene. They have passed around a photo of like, this is the person we're all banging. We've all been up close and personal with this person. And Richie's like, wow, it's wild that you guys were all fucking the same girl. You're just like, what?
Rich is like, that's weird, right? Right, Coco?
Fucking weird.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back never.
Oh, God. But at this point, they're like, okay, does anybody know their license plate, any information about them? Nobody seems to. But Bruce Willis then goes to his doctor, Dr. Ashland, and he's like, hey, I figured it out. At minimum, she was the different person to everybody. There's a whole bunch of shit going on, but I still kind of want to hit that. Yeah. And his doctor is like, oh no, this is a trauma bond. Fucking run. This is not good. This is unethical.
How good is she in bed?
Incredible. It must be incredible.
After all this, he's like, nah. That's a keeper right there.
Yeah, I don't need to be a psychiatrist anymore because I'm going to do this, I think. I'm going to keep living in Scott Bakula's pimp-ass house, and I'm just going to do this.
It is kind of the plot for Beverly Hills Cop 2 in a way.
There you go.
Moves to town, lives in his friend's house, and solves his murder.
Perfect. But at this point, he's like, she's kind of a suspect. And I love that this doctor is like, salmon swim upstream to mate and die, and sometimes men do the same. And I was just like, whoa, what?
I mean, people are dying. I understood why he said this. And Bruce is like,
yeah,
I don't know, but she's like stupid hot, Doc. Are you serious?
I don't think you even know.
Yeah, no, it's like worth it, you know? Like, it's fine.
It's great. I know she is unwell, and I'm not going to try and help her at all. But, you know, other than that, woo! Bow, bow. It's nuts. But he then goes to Hector's partner. Is like, hey, can you search this license plate? This lady hit my car. And that guy, to his credit, immediately goes to Hector and is like, this is definitely the license plate for that girl. And he's been banging her the whole time. And he's the one that's still banging her. And they're like, nice. So they start planning off screen. We don't see them.
Right.
We then cut to Bruce Willis goes back to the Needlemeyer house.
And just barges in.
Breaks B's and E's in a door that's like Hodor levels of huge. Like, that door belongs to elves. And he barges through.
But he knew the word for friend, and he entered, Paige.
Yes. And my bow, and my DSM-5, and...
At this point, it was probably the DSM -1. I don't know. It was a dark time.
Dark time. But he talks to that lady, and she's just like, why are you bringing up Richie? He's been dead for years.
For 4 years, since he was 12. And I really hope Rose is his older sister. And we will find out because Dr. Needlemeyer was abusing him. Yes.
That is why it happened.
It's very dark. And that's why Mrs. Needlemeyer doesn't want to talk about it because, of course, she knows. And, of course, she didn't know it was going on, but doesn't want to talk about this very dark thing her husband did.
Sure. And her husband was then killed sometime after, we will find out, by Dale.
Yes.
But we also know that the doctor abused Dale first.
Yeah.
Then Richie unfortunately passed. But she's like, he would be 16 if he was alive. They also had a sister, Rose. Da, da, da. He puts it all together.
They kind of say it like it's a throwaway, but it's like, it's supposed to be played like it's this reveal that it's like on a huge level, which I guess I didn't really suspect this very much because it doesn't matter at all in the story. Like, I mean, I guess it does ground it in, quote, reality for as to why Rose would be doing this. But you already know Rose is the one doing this, you know?
Right. So he drives to the furniture place where there's going to now be a showdown because Richie / Rose is up in the attic bleeding. This is where he takes off the glasses and the ponytail.
Yeah. And the snout. Like, it goes from daughter Zaius to Rose.
Yes. And she's like, please, like, I didn't want to be Richie. He forced me to be Richie. And then Rose kept coming out.
Yeah.
So basically, she is a victim of trauma as well.
Well, and so is her older brother who has done this to her. Like, it is really sad because the ultimate person who started this chain, at least that we know of, is Dr. Niedermeyer, who is dead already. Like, but it's just trauma happening and trauma being passed down.
Hurt people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. It's just sad.
But who should come out of the woodwork with a fucking nail gun? It's Dale. But that's after he had nailed Rose's hands to the chair. Bruce Willis pulls them up, but then he gets got by a nail gun.
Paige, I think you mean he's shooting a Dale gun. Thank you very much.
But then who else should show up but Martinez?
Doing his fucking job for the first time in his life.
Literally the first time in this movie, for sure.
This is the first time this cop has done anything that was cop related. He's been at a party in every other scene, more or less.
Every other scene. But he immediately gets nail gunned to a wall. And Bruce Willis gets hung up in a cage. It's like a whole thing.
The way that the cop gets like nail gun stigmatted to the wall from the nail gun and he's still holding the gun in one of his hands.
Yes.
It's just like nail guns to the wall so he can't shoot. It is not presented as magical realism, but it has to be magical realism because that's not how like physics work at all. And like when the nail gun nails Bruce's arm into the wall, the nail is so far out, he can like, it's through his arm.
Yeah.
And he can like grab it. So
and pull it out.
It's not that long. So it's maybe like a quarter of an inch into the wall. And he struggles to get it out of the wall. And it's not like it's screwed in, Paige. There's no teeth holding it in place. That shit would just slide out.
It would slide right out. In fact, it probably wouldn't even hold into the wall. But as he gets free and he's running through this furniture shop, walls of furniture are shaking and like threatening to fall like he's on Pirates of the fucking Caribbean, the ride.
Paige, it looked like he was running to go climb the aggro crag. Like none of it looked like it was real at all. This is like the magical realism, but presented as reality part. I was like, this is nuts, but okay.
Yeah, until the armoire falls on him and they try to like, hang him. But then she gets the nail gun, so she shoots her brother and is like, oh no, I killed my brother, because very traumatizing. And then she goes to shoot herself, but it's out of nails. So she climbs up this giant tower. Bruce Willis climbs after her.
Paige, I have been waiting for so long to talk about the scene where the lady who used to look like King Kong climbed a tower and yelled. I was like, this movie is doing too much. This is too King Kong right now. Stop it. Also, why does this furniture store have a lightning tower you can climb and stand on top of like you're going to take the dumbest selfies in the tallest buildings in Dubai? Like, that's what that looks like up there.
That has custom-made gargoyles in the style of the furniture store. But she gets up there and he like talks her out of it, but then the wind blows her and him.
Paige.
So she falls, he catches her.
Paige, you cannot say he falls and she falls because you're only half right. The wind blows and he falls. She does a backflip off of this thing and he catches her like they're doing Cirque du Soleil.
Yes.
And this is a trapeze act.
But here's what drove me nuts, because they catch the rungs of the ladder, which means that they could climb down. No, they climb up.
Paige.
So the place where the wind is.
Nothing in this movie is smart.
No, but it's implied that they eventually climb down. But like for the moment where the movie is, they climb up and they're like holding each other. And I just have, this is so unethical, but he can see red again because he can see the like red of the light. And that's the movie.
So having seen the movie?
Question mark.
But yeah, exactly. Paige, tell me, what did you think about Color of Night?
I never need to watch this again. The sex scenes aren't even good enough to balance it out.
I agree. I do not think you need to watch this movie. I paid $3.99 to rent it.
Same.
And this is one that was not a lot more expensive to own. And man, am I glad I dodged that bullet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like
yes.
it's bad, and bad to the point where it's not that fun to watch.
Right.
Like if you're interested in, this is probably the most insane level I've seen this many famous people be in a movie. It's worth it for that, like,
Sure.
God, how did this get made aspect of it? It's not worth watching for its like storytelling and or camera shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a great movie. I do kind of love it, but I love having shouted about it for the past 2 hours with you more than I loved watching it.
Yeah.
But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Ooh, yes, I do.
Well, hit us with your fun facts. The
Color
night
of fun facts.
Wait, did you say color of? Because I said the night.
Yeah.
Okay, that actually was very strange.
Leave it in.
I'm leaving it in, baby. That's crazy. Okay.
This film is considered a box office failure. However, it did well in the home video market. It was one of the top 20 most rented films in 1995 because internet porn
Hasn't been invented yet.
was not really a thing yet.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this was just a spank bank movie for sure.
Yep. In fact, standees sent to movie theaters to display were sent in a box marked the Walt Disney Company so that people wouldn't know what it was, and they featured a close-up of Jane March's face in an obvious erotic moment. So it's like her coming.
Nice. But it came in a box that was like the Disney Company?
Yeah, so people didn't know that it was for this movie.
God, when Mickey mailed that, he was like,
Yes. Use the cuffs. Yeah, like that.
Paige, I just did the strangest Amazon order today for something I'm doing for an upcoming conference. And let's just say it involved a briefcase, a $sign sticker, and handcuffs.
So there was a battle between Richard Rush, who is the writer-director, and Andrew Vanja, who was one of the producers and the financier of the movie, of whose version of the movie is better. So Richard Rush is responsible for the 139-minute version, which is what we watched today. And Andrew Vanja had a 121-minute version, which thankfully would have been mercifully shorter. But they made a bet to see which one would get rated the best. So they screened both in San Francisco on the same day and asked people which was better. And Richard Rush, his version was ruled the more coherent version. Good luck. And so that's why that is the theatrical version. But that didn't stop this from being listed as one of the 100 most enjoyably bad movies ever made in the Razzie book, the official Razzie movie guide. The Golden Raspberry we've talked about a lot, but the founder, John Wilson's book lists this among the 100 most enjoyably bad movies ever made.
All right.
Jane March had said that she wasn't comfortable with the nudity in the film. And to that, I am sorry that intimacy coordinators did not exist in that time. Poor thing.
I mean, that pool scene is a lot. And if you're not like super into Bruce Willis, I would get why that would be an uncomfortable thing to shoot.
Yep.
Because it's like they're very clearly just nothing, wearing nothing.
Yes.
And she is like sitting on his lap in the pool.
Oh, yeah. Nuts to parts to parts.
Yeah.
Maxim magazine named this film sex scenes as the best sex scenes in film history, and I can only assume it's because this was back in the 90s and we hadn't gotten better ones yet.
When did Wild Things come out? Because that sounds more like the actual answer for that magazine.
I'm sure Wild Things was also on that list, to be honest.
Didn't come out until 98, though, so it came out 4 years later.
Yeah.
By the way, we got to do Wild Things, right? Like, it's an erotic thriller.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I want to do that one with Mikey, probably later in the summer.
I've only seen sections of that movie.
I have seen most of that movie and was surprised at how much crime was in it, which made me back in. I was like, all right, I'm in.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so at the time of the German theatrical release, Jane March was promoting this film on the German television show Wetten das? I'm guessing that's how that's pronounced. But they showed promotional scenes of the film that included her nudity.
What?
And she was very surprised that could be shown on television because in Europe, it could be.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I bet it got people to the theaters.
Now, she did at one point try to have the scenes edited down, but ultimately chose not to do so and has said since that her working experience on the film was very happy.
Good.
I think she just didn't expect back.
I mean, but I definitely understand, like, she's naked a lot in the film. Like,
a lot.
Even if it was, like, great, everything was handled perfectly on the days of the shoots for those stuff, I would still be super uncomfortable with so much of me nude in the world, you know?
Well, and so she had signed a contract agreeing to do it. And part of the reason why that had been included in the contract, part of the reason why she'd been hired was because she had been in a film 2 years previous when she was 18. So she was 20 when she filmed this, called The Lover, where she had performed full nudity. And ultimately she agreed to do the nude scenes, but it was kind of contentious on set. It was not great. They felt like they had to convince her to do it. That made the director feel really bad.
Oh, yeah,
He
sure.
has talked about it after, that he was like, I didn't like having to do that. And she has then come out after and been like, I had a good time on the movie. It's fine. But at the time, it was a little dicey.
Yeah, I guess my point was, even if it was a great experience on set, I would see being uncomfortable with it being out there like that.
Right.
Or that much of it being out there, because it's a lot. It's like almost every scene she's in with Bruce.
Yeah.
She's naked on some level.
Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, Carmine Zazora, who was Bruce Willis's best friend and an associate producer on the film, met Jane March on set before filming, but after she'd been cast, they hit it off immediately and got married.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yes. Now, this could potentially be part of why the nude scenes, there was some debate about the nude scenes. They were already married by the time filming started. So, like, they got married in pre-production. And according to some accounts, he started to interfere with the film's more sensual scenes, making demands on both of them to the point that they were considering removing him from the set.
Him, the producer, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
The associate producer. Yeah.
It would be hard to see your wife just like really going at your friend, you know, because I'm assuming they did a few films together at least, you know.
So the MPAA ratings board objected to seeing Bruce Willis's penis in the pool scene and threatened the film with an NC-17 unless they cut it out. So the director strongly disagreed with the MPAA because fuck them, but he was forced to live with a 6-minute cut to the movie, meaning that the amount of Bruce Willis's dick we saw was the considered appropriate part. There were 6 more minutes of intense sex scenes in this movie.
That means that middle sex scene that's already like 10 minutes with a short paragliding and kitchen break is 6 minutes longer, and it's like 10 minutes already.
So part of the part that got cut was the two of them floating on their back in the pool, fully frontally nude, facing up, and it was a shot from above. There was also a shot that included her pubic hair and his face. That is kind of part of it remains in the movie, but yeah, there was a lot of debate about the sex in this movie.
I mean, and there's a lot of sex in this movie.
There is, yeah. This is the last recorded score by Richard Rush's friend Dominic Frontier, and I think we know why.
Yeah.
If you're wondering which How Did This Get Made episode it's episode 85 featuring Amy Schumer.
Damn, that's an old episode. Episode 85. That show's been around forever.
Yep. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for The Color of Night in 1994?
I bet this was very expensive and did not make its money back. I'm going to say this was $40 million in 1994.
Paige, it was exactly $40 million.
Yes!
Paige.
Yes!
Which, if you adjust for inflation, is $86.5 million today. Now,
Jesus!
When this movie came out, which was the weekend of August 19th, 1994, it was 4th in the theaters. It was the only new movie in the top 5 and was 4th. But also that weekend, number 1, Forrest Gump. Number 2, Clear and Present Danger. Number 3, The Mask. Number 5, True Lies. And of course, number 4 was The Color of Night. Like literally every other movie is like a household name movie. So it also came out a bad weekend, but it's also a terrible movie. So what do you think it brought in its opening weekend, Paige?
Ooh, its opening weekend, I bet at 4th, this brought in $6 million.
$6.6 million, Paige. Yes.
Damn! I am on a roll today.
It definitely did. It was never again in the top 5. It was 6th in its second week, but quickly fell to 12th in its third week. It was in the theaters for 23 total weeks, but as you mentioned in your fun facts, did not make its money back. But do you want to take a guess as to how much it made domestically at the box office?
$15.6 million.
Ooh, you're close. It was $19.7 million, which is way less than the $40 million budget at the time.
I think it did make its money back in home market because this was at the top rented and purchased movies at the time. So I'm sure it eventually made that money back, but yeah.
I mean, it honestly, if it did make that money back, it owes it all to Jane March.
Yeah, well, and Bruce Willis's dick.
Yes, absolutely. Who does deliver the most convincing performance of the movie. Like, when I saw it, I was like, damn, that is a dick.
That is a dick.
Anyway, Paige, that's your box office. Do you want to hit us with that romance scale?
Our romance scale is a scale of 1 to 4 on how romantic we found this movie today, Todd.
Yeah, this is a 1 for me on the romance scale.
It's a 1. It's also a 1 on the ethics scale for therapists.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's your romance scale.
Wait, are we going to do the roar scale, Paige?
Yeah. Roars. How many roars you giving this?
I'll give it a 2.
I'll give it a 2. Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, if she was like more age appropriate, I'd probably rate it higher.
Perhaps, yeah.
It just felt weird that she was like a teenager and he's 40 years old.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
But you know, therapist, who knows?
Who knows? And that was your roar scale.
Yeah. So, Paige, this week you made us watch Color of Night. What are you going to make us watch next week as we continue erotic thriller, but also possibly a second theme that this movie straddles the line on?
Yeah, it's June, so it's Pride Month. We always do Pride Month in June.
We kind of already just did a lesbian erotic thriller. That's great.
In looking at the calendar, I was like, should I have waited for Love Lies Bleeding?
It doesn't matter.
But nah,
yeah.
Because we just liked it and it was good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet there's other things like that, and boy, did I find one. So we are going to be watching 1996's Bound with Gina Gershon. It's going to be great. Very excited for that.
I've never seen it, but a lot of people did mention this one when we did Love Lies Bleeding in the comments.
Yes.
They were like, you guys should do Bound.
We are going to do Bound. I was very thrilled to do that. Yes.
So I guess your homework for next week is to watch Gina Gershon in the movie Bound.
I'm so excited.
Well, good.
Hey, Todd, do you have any reviews for us?
I do. So I'm going to read one this week from our Fatal Attraction episode, which is the most recent episode that has just come out. And I'm going to read Buffy's comment because they came out to plug a book that we should read based upon stuff we said during the Fatal Attraction episode.
Okay.
Because they say, came to let you know that there's actually a book out there called The Washingtonian that is a woman's real-life account of all the government officials she slept with in Washington.
Yeah.
So excuse me as I run to Amazon immediately
Bring it
to
to my
see
house.
how much the book will cost me when I go to a brick and mortar store and buy it.
Yes.
Anyway, Buffy, thank you so much for that. I'll just say Spotify comment and recommendation. And if you want to have me read your Spotify comment, recommendation, and or 5-star Apple review, leave us one of those things and I'll do just that. So yeah, if you guys like this show and want to hear our other show where we talk about horror movies, that is The Horror Virgin. That's the only other podcast I am on, but Paige is also on Cult Podcast, which you can find at Cult Podcast. And you can find us on social media. I am at Todd J. Awesome, literally everywhere. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Instagram.
No, it's at Rampage Wesley on Instagram and TikTok, at Paige Wesley on Twitter.
That's right. All right. So that's where you can find Paige. If you want to find the show, we are at Romancing the Pod Show, right?
Yep. Romancing Pod Show on Twitter.
Well, and Instagram, right?
And Instagram, but it's show SHO because character limits. If you start typing Romancing the Pod, it'll come up.
It'll definitely come up on Instagram. I don't know about Twitter because I haven't posted on Twitter in a hot ass minute. So who knows? But that is where you can find more of us. So yeah, guys, give us a follow. Support the show any way you can. We'd love it.
Smash that like button.
Hell yeah.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion. I hate saying it with this movie. It just makes me feel dirty. I hate it.
We saw Bruce Willis's dick.
Bye. It was kind of huge, nerds.